PlayStation 1 was the first PlayStation of the series. With it, a lot of good series showed up, and you'll see a lot of them today. So today I gathered all the 50 best games in my opinion of PlayStation 1, and I put them all together, and I'll also say a little bit about them. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed, let me know, click on the like, subscribe to the channel, videos almost every day here. I got the best games of PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, PlayStation 4, and also Nintendo Switch. If you enjoyed this video, just check the other content too. Thank you so much, and let's go to the video. Resident Evil 1, a true survival horror game. Survive the Spencer Mansion zombies and biological weapons in one of the best games of all time. Final Fantasy VII, one of the greatest JRPGs of all time, with a complex universe and multiple characters. You must play it. Metal Gear Solid, one of the masterpieces of Kojima, a unique stealth game set in a complex and interesting world. Tekken, one of the first good 3D fighting games with charismatic and quirky characters in a fine gameplay. Tomb Raider, one of the first action adventures with shooter features of all, and is so far remembered as a revolution of video games. Castlevania Symphony of the Night, one of the first Metroidvanias of all, with a long journey and a complex and full of secrets castle. Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories. For the people who like card games, this one is really fun, and it's really well played to this day. Crash Bandicoot, a very original 3D platformer game with a charismatic Bandicoot as the protagonist and a nice gameplay and soundtrack. Digimon World, a very good RPG set in the universe of Digimon, considered so far the best game of the series ever released, with impressive graphics for its time. Resident Evil 2. After the first Resident Evil, the zombies escaped and became a true horror in Raccoon City, and now the new characters Leon and Claire take care of the job. MediEvil, a charismatic and at the same time a dark action-adventure game, with a very fun character and a fluid gameplay for its time. Parasite Eve, a very interesting game that mixed survival horror with RPG. The gameplay is kinda similar to Resident Evil but with its own style. Silent Hill, a absolute scary survival horror set in a semi-open city, the famous Silent Hill, with the worst nightmares you could expect. Final Fantasy VIII, one more great Final Fantasy adventure, mixing fantasy and sci-fi in the same story, with good characters as always and an insane journey. Gran Turismo, the first game of what would become a great racing game series, an impressive 3D realistic racing game for its time. Dino Crisis, a unique survival horror where you must survive the dinosaurs. It's in the same style of Resident Evil, but with its own mechanics and personality. Chrono Trigger, thought by many as the best JRPG of all time. The game is set in a huge and immersive world, with a massive storytelling and a fun gameplay. Final Fantasy IX, another Final Fantasy here, and again, a great game with new features and systems, a nice story mode and a solid JRPG experience. GTA 1, the first GTA ever made. It wasn't a 3D game like today, but it's still a very fun sandbox game with an impressive freedom for its time. Resident Evil 3. After Resident Evil 1, Jill's back to take care of what's left of Raccoon City, and now facing the biggest threat so far, the Nemesis. Gran Turismo 2. The returning of Gran Turismo, with better graphics, gameplay, physics, and more tracks and cars. Another great PlayStation 1 success. Parasite Eve II, the second adventure in this amazing universe, is still with a great gameplay and story, with some new features and also characters. Crash Bandicoot 2. Crash is back, but now with new features, new levels, bosses, musics, and it's still a very fun platformer 3D game. Legacy of Kain, so Reaver, a immersive and fun action-adventure game set in an interesting faithful world with a fine combat system. Spyro the Dragon, the original and charismatic platformer game, with a very fun and unique gameplay, and in a semi-open stage with nice soundtracks. Crash Team Racing. After the platformer adventures of Crash, he was ready for another adventure, kart races, with a fluid gameplay and nice maps. Harvest Moon Back to the Nature, thought by many as the best farming game ever created, with a very good gameplay and almost infinite things to do. Vagrant Story, a hidden gem from PlayStation 1, a solid and extremely good RPG. Those who knows the game loves it, but it's not that popular today. Tarzan, a very fun platforming game set in a story of Tarzan, with good graphics and a nice gameplay, in 2D and also 3D levels. Tekken 3, one of the most famous fighting series of the world in its third game, with a great gameplay, quirky characters and nice soundtracks. Diablo, a dark and atmospheric RPG game set in a brutal universe with different demons. An excellent game for those who want to spend hours playing. Chrono Cross, the sequel of Chrono Trigger, now the game set in a 3D experience with a great gameplay and still a nice storyline. Xenogears, a solid and huge RPG adventure, and was the first game of what would become a great RPG series in the next years. Crash 3 Warped, and one more time Crash was back to save the world, and again from Cortex, but now with a time machine, sending you back and forth to different times. Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, a new adventure of the famous Purple Dragon, with the same core of gameplay, but now with some new features and a lot of new levels. Dragon Ball GT Final Bout, a very good fighting game set in the story of Dragon Ball GT, with a lot of playable characters and classic fights. PaRappa the Rapper, a very famous musical game with interesting characters and a rhythm gameplay style. Very fun. Final Fantasy VIII, when Final Fantasy decided to make a tactical RPG and they simply created one of the best games of its style. Amazing to this day. Driver, You Are the Wheelman, a game that caught everyone off guard back then, with impressive gameplay fluency and graphics for its time. Tomb Raider 2, a new Lara Croft adventure, with some new features, refined gameplay and a whole new story. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, a very fun skating game, set in different scenarios with different objectives. You got a timer and you need to do some of them before the time's over. GTA 2, a new version of what would become the most revolutionary video game series of all time, but it's still set in an upper camera with a fun gameplay. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, one of the best games ranked on Metacritic so far. It's still in the same style of the first game, but now with better graphics and levels. Crash Bash, the last Crash game for PlayStation 1, and here the core was different. It was a sort of board game, extremely fun to play with friends. Syphon Filter, a fun and immersive third-person shooter, and here the main feature of the game was the stealth, and it was really fun to try to finish the levels undetected. Dino Crisis II, the sequel of the original game, as good as the original one, but now with new locations, characters, and of course, new dinosaurs. Spyro, Are of the Dragon, the last Spyro game so far, still very good. All the 3 games got a remastered version, and a 4th game is supposedly in development.
Please find the rest of the bones.
This is Hercules, a Hercules 3D and also 2D platformer game, with a fun gameplay and a fine level design. You must play it. Tomb Raider 3. As the first 2 games, this was a great and immersive action adventure, and again controlling Lara Croft against different types of enemies in different levels. Driver 2 The Wheelman is back, the new adventure of the series after the success of the first game, now with better graphics, gameplay, new levels, and goals. those were the games, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Click on the like if you enjoyed it. Leave in the comments your favorite games of PlayStation 1. If you want to check the other content, you'll be really welcome there. And if you find that I forgot any game here, just put in the comments. I will make a second part of it in the future probably, so really consider to put them there. It's just my opinion, of course, and well, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. So long.